9:36 a.m. on the clock. A very, very good morning to you. Right now, we are joined by Nikhil Nanda. He's the Director of Innovations Group. Now, Nikhil has been at the forefront of integrating the latest technological advancements in the HR solutions for innovations, HR integration. Now, this has immensely changed the game for him. Now, his productivity, efficiency, and overall client satisfaction. So, a civil engineer graduate, Nikhil, has taken the innovations group to scale higher levels, making it the only outsourcing company in the UAE that develops its specialized software.
Welcome, Nikhil, to Daybreak. How are you doing today?
Very well, Neil. Thank you. Thanks. Good to be here.
Nikhil, 2024, everyone comes up with plans, ideas, concepts for the year, and it's so more so in the HR world, right? You plan ahead, and as they say, a successful HR will always plan at least 2 years in advance, if not more. How does your year look like as far as solutions for your clients are concerned?
Yeah, it's a very good question. People usually say the end of the year is the most relaxed time. For us, it's actually the busiest because we start doing all the planning and proposing for the next year. And I think 2024 looks mainly towards investing in recruitment as a function for us. We're very focused on being able to bring more efficiency into connecting potential job seekers with the right kind of industry and the right kind of jobs.
In technology in HR, in recruitment, how is this marriage possible? Once one always looks at technology from a perspective of delivering high-end, cutting, technology, trying to, automate everything. But when you look at recruitment, you want to meet the person you want to meet the person. You want to understand what the person is. How does that person converse in pressure situations? But bring in technology, it add another dimension to it.
Absolutely, I think you're absolutely right. Where during the interview stage, you want to meet the person physically. You want to understand who he is or what kind of role they do. However, there's a huge funneling and filtering process before that interview stage,
Okay.
and that is where the technology comes in. Is this the right kind of role for this kind of a professional? Is there certain criteria of this job that doesn't match this professional? So doing all that mass filtering in the beginning, that's where the technology really helps.
Right. Now, Nikhil, moving on to understanding the market situation at the very moment, the industry, the dynamics. When you talk particularly about blue collar recruitment, how does the industry look for them? How do job opportunities look for them?
So right now it's quite one-dimensional, where a worker gets a job during his first job, where he would either come into the country new, and he would work with an employer for either a very large number of years, or he would essentially go back to his home country. The growth process in his career is much more limited, because it's not like the white collar industry where you can do multiple interviews while working. You can meet and network with different employers. That opportunity is very limited. So that is where technology needs to come in to give more access to these workers, to be able to apply to multiple different jobs, to be able to at least browse with different employers, because they're at work all day, every day. So how do they suddenly, their only way to network would be take a sick leave or take
Right.
a absence. So technology helps them kind of work around those things.
Right. We will be talking a little bit more about this. If you have any questions for Nikhil, send them in on 05 8686 1003, or just pick the phone up and let's get this conversation started. 800 1003. 9:44 a.m. on the clock. A very, very good morning to you. We are joined by Nikhil Nanda, Director of Innovations Group, and he's here to take us through the current state of blue-collar recruitment in the GCC and the key industries driving demand for these workers. Yes, right now, on to you, Nikhil, into understanding what influences of a technological advancement and automation. How do you see the landscape of blue-collar jobs evolving in GCC and globally?
So I think right now, the recruitment market within the blue collar workforce is very hyper local. So it's
Okay.
very easy for workers to find a job within UAE if they're in UAE, for example. However, how do they kind of reach abroad and apply to Saudi or Qatar? It makes it very challenging. They can't go travel there for an interview. They can't showcase their skills. So how do they kind of access those regions? And that's where technology having regions, and that's where technology having an app, having outsourcing companies such as us that already have a presence in these regions on one kind of an app or on one kind of a platform, you can access multiple regions, multiple different industries, and showcase your profile to various employers.
You spoke about your app, the Innovations Group Job Search app. Uh, how does this app work? What are the keynotes? What are the functions of this app? If you could just break it down in simpler terms.
Yeah, so the app is right now a very simple kind of platform to connect a job seeker with a job.
Okay.
In a nutshell, if I'm a job seeker, I log on to the app, I build my profile, and I can filter out all the jobs within Innovations.
Okay.
And Innovations being an outsourcing player, we have access to almost 500 clients across the world.
Brilliant.
So you have access to a lot more industries, and you're in touch directly with the employer, as Innovations Group is the one that's going to be employing you.
So, if I were to get onto your app as someone from, say, a retail background, right? Someone who's working in the retail industry, can I filter it down to that industry specific to look for a job, or I have to go through every single job posting?
No, you can filter it down absolutely to the industry level, to the salary slab level, even
Wow.
to the skill level if you want.
So can I also, if I maybe am a freelancer, do you have opportunities for freelancers as well?
Yes, you can even filter part-time roles, full-time roles, even on a monthly or even on a daily basis.
That's interesting. So, how does this really work? Now, for someone who is sitting on the other side and has, downloaded the app, yes, they've gotten themselves registered. What's the process then?
So I think the first step is obviously to create your profile in a very clear and concise manner, because the way the technology works is it takes inputs from your profile and then connects and recommends jobs for you. And as we build and develop this technology more, that linking and connecting process becomes a lot stronger.
Interesting. What challenges do you feel? Yes, I know we're talking about blue collar workers, but how do you think we can bridge this gap? Now, for instance, your app, and they managed to get themselves on the app. How do they? Is it available in different languages? Because not everybody can understand English or write in English. How are you making it accessible to the blue collar workers?
Yeah, that's a great question. And as Neil said, what were some of our planning for 2024? Top of the priority was to get multilingual features on the app, so not just Hindi, but get to Arabic, and get to various regions across that are present in UAE. So language is right up there. And then I think the second thing is also being able to showcase talent. So can you take a video of the skills you do, or can you take a video of where you're currently working to showcase the kind of projects that you're currently working on?
It's a very interesting point that you make over here, to make a video, because we were not talking about white collared executives who can build a strong, solid profile.
Correct.
A CV that could probably sell $1 million. Wear a fancy suit and take a fancy picture for your LinkedIn profile. These guys may not even have access to those skill sets. Forget having a friend who could do it for them. How does your app simplify all of these things for someone who has language barriers, who probably has technological barriers also, because these are limitations, and probably one of the reasons why they are in the industry that they are in. They have skill sets and within what they do, but these finer nuances are something that could be missing. So does Innovations Group app bridge that little gap between their lack of ability to communicate their skill set abilities?
Yeah, so it's a very good question, because so when we design the app, we design the app from a point of view that we don't want to pull information or get people to try and put as much information as they possibly can. We give them more limited options,
Right.
saying that everyone is on a specific kind of template. So these are the choices, these are the potential kind of options you have to showcase your talent. And thus there's a more uniform pool to be able to judge someone, and it's slightly easier on the candidate knowing that these are my options, and I know
Right.
where I am within this bracket.
Is it challenging from a recruitment consultant perspective? You guys have been in the business for quite some time. Which is more challenging, picking up the right candidate for a white collar job or a blue collar job?
Ooh,
Interesting.
ooh.
Very nice.
Honestly, I think the blue collar jobs are slightly more challenging because they're more practical and they're more skill based.
Yeah.
It's tough to kind of have a conversation or have an interview and assess how strong the skill is.
Mm-hmm.
We do in our industry use something called a trade test, where
Okay.
we test the skill.
Nice.
But even the trade test is limited to a very small kind of setup that you've made. It's not on a large scale project working with thousands of
Thousands,
people, supervisors, team leaders. So I honestly would say it's tougher to assess a blue collar profile.
Now, I have another question, which is again going to be a little tough or a challenge for you individually. Why do engineers complete engineering and do something absolutely different? You are a civil engineer by qualification yourself, Nikhil.
Yeah, no, it's a great question, and
And he's gotten himself in the recruitment industry.
absolutely. I am one of those classic examples for sure. Although I practice civil engineering.
Oh, you do?
Yes, I build hotels,
Oh.
affordable hotels.
Look
on
at
the
you,
side.
man.
So now you know where the money is coming from.
There you go. Now, this is then I'll excuse you from that question, because generally I've met so many engineers who've completed their engineering, they've studied engineering 4 years into it, and then are
Marketing
doing
mein ghus gaye.
something absolutely
Yeah.
different. Absolutely. But then no, I'm glad that you've stuck around building, following your qualification as well. I mean, guilty as charged. I'm a research pharmacist by qualification.
9:52 a.m. on the clock. A very, very good morning to you. Yes, this is Daybreak, and joining us in is Nikhil Nanda, Director of Innovations Group. Daybreak team is also, includes Neil Oja from Talk Sports and Business. Like I'd like to say, I have stolen him for this week. Now let's quickly talk to you, Nikhil, about the trends that are taking place in the industry. But before you get to to answering my question, I think Neil had something to ask you.
No, it was purely a very curious question that from by qualification Nikhil is an engineer. I understand that engineering is a way of life, right? Because you spend 4 years studying it, you prepare for your entrance exams, then you go ahead and study for 4 years. It probably makes you or molds you in a certain way. Has your qualification in engineering helped you understand this part of the world, the recruitment part of the world as well, Nikhil?
Absolutely. I mean, without a doubt, the way I think about anything I build, anything I try to achieve, it comes from the same principles of breaking things down into smaller pieces, compartmentalizing that, and then taking it on and connecting it into a larger picture.
This is really interesting, Nikhil, how you've put things across. But when you're talking about building your career, and like you did it for yourself, you're doing what you love, and obviously you've ventured out into something else, and you're making the $1 million. I hope you do. Talk to me as to what does today's market predict when talking about market situations, when talking about job opportunities for a person maybe who's in the creative field, or for a person who's maybe an engineer. How does the market look like for us 2024?
So I think based on the kind of role you're in, the market dynamics are very different across those roles. I think the first thing, which is the key, is really identifying where you are placed within this market. What is my space? What is my expertise? And what is my real skill or niche within this huge thing we call the market? I think once you're able to identify where you are, you make the market a lot smaller and a lot easier to navigate for yourself. When we kind of look at this broad picture saying, I'm competing against so many people, there's so many jobs, there's so many different things, you kind of get lost. But when you really pinpoint that this is what I love to do, this is what I'm best at, it makes your vision a lot more clearer. And I think that is the easiest way to navigate the market, because if you take it as a full market and and you open all the doors, it becomes too broad and too complex.
But then what about people who want to switch careers? Some people love doing what they do and then they stick around doing that for life. For someone like me, I'm a research pharmacist by qualification. I was doing research on formulation of medicines for quite some part of my life, and then radio happened. Literally happened. So now I did make a couple of switches in my careers on to where I am today, and I still dabble in a few things. For someone who is in their mid career and is looking to switch their careers, is this market conducive for someone like that?
So it's tricky, but if I go back to what you said, you mentioned radio happened.
Yeah.
And people always don't realize that these kind of opportunities come your way without you really realizing or knowing. They just kind of happen. And the biggest aspect of being able to change your career honestly comes with timing.
Right.
And when an opportunity comes your way in a moment that you least expected and is probably least kind of connected to what you did, but you had that feeling that, I really kind of want to do this, or it might be a huge risk, but there's an intuition or there's a feeling inside me that's saying go for it. I think that's the toughest part, and those are the things that people need to kind of try a lot more, and it doesn't come from practice, it comes from feeling.
Now, this feeling, and why I brought this question as a lead up to what I'm going to ask you next. In your experience, do these kind of things happen in the blue collared workers, or they stick to their skill sets only?
So it's a great question. I think these feelings and these moments do happen in the blue collar industry as well. You have to realize that in the blue collar industry there's an element of facility management. You live with lots of other workers. There's a lot of variables around you where these opportunities can arise. However, the challenge is the risk is so much larger.
Right.
Because taking a gamble for a white collar professional, you could take that risk, it doesn't work out, and you could eventually figure something else out. But for a blue collar worker, if the worker loses that job or that opportunity, it could mean going back to their home country and starting all over again. And that risk is a very large risk to take.
Very interesting perspectives to whatever you've brought onto the table, Nikhil. But one, I think something that it has been on our mind, the next day we got onto the show was that increment is going to be on cards, and a lot of industries have now opened doors. So are we seeing a little increase in budgets when, you're obviously opening different profiles for different individuals? Are you seeing that increment already on cards by different industries? Or is this a myth?
No, I definitely see it. Everything around us is getting more expensive. And thus people's costs are going up and expectations are also going up. And companies need to take that into account if they want to hold on to the best talent.
Perfect. Thank you so very much, Nikhil, for taking time out, coming to our studios and kind of walking us through this conversation. It was an amazing one.
Oh, it definitely was. Thank you so much, Nikhil. And hey, you know what? If you're looking to, try and experiment with your jobs, or someone, and especially in the blue-collared segment, this is where it is. The app is called the Innovations Group Job Search app, is it?
Correct.
Perfect. And you can download it on App Stores and Google Stores as well.
Absolutely. Just put Innovations Group into it and you'll see the logo right away.
Innovations Group, that's the app you get onto, and I think fabulous for blue-collared workers, that they can find themselves something as well. So if you know someone looking for a particular job, get onto this immediately. Do it right now. Nikhil, once again, thank you very much.